The people stop coming by around week 2. The casseroles are gone from the fridge. The cards stop arriving. Everyone else's life picked back up exactly where it left off, and you're still standing in the spot where yours stopped. That's not weakness. That's just what's true right now. It shows up in small places nobody warns you about. Reaching for the phone to tell them something and remembering halfway through the motion. Driving past the exit you used to take to see them. The specific quiet of a house that used to have another voice in it. There's a verse that gets read at a lot of funerals. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart. It's true. And it's also been said badly enough times that it can sound like a slogan. So set the slogan aside for a second, because the man who wrote it was not in a good place when he wrote it. He wrote it right after doing the single most degrading thing he'd ever done to stay alive. We'll get to exactly what that was, and it changes how this verse should be heard. This is David, on the run from King Saul, out of options, standing at the gate of a Philistine city with nowhere else to go. The king there, Achish of Gath, recognized him, so David let saliva run down into his beard and scratched marks into the gate like a madman until the guards decided he wasn't worth the trouble and let him go. The heading on this psalm names the king Abimelech, most likely a royal title, like Pharaoh, rather than his given name. But the event itself is the same one recorded in 1 Samuel 21. That's the floor this psalm was written from. Not a peaceful morning. A man who had just debased himself to stay alive, still shaking from it. So what does a man in that state actually say about where God is? Not in theory, word for word. Here's exactly what he wrote. And centuries later, a very different kind of grief standing at a grave. Psalm 34:18. Web. Yahweh is near to those who have a broken heart and saves those who have a crushed spirit. John 11:25-26. Web. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will still live, even if he dies. Whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Here's what gets missed about the Lord is near to those who have a broken heart. Read it again. It doesn't say the Lord is near to those who used to have a broken heart. It doesn't say he shows up once you've pulled yourself together enough to be presentable. The nearness is attached to the brokenness itself, present tense, while it's still happening. That's the opposite of how this verse usually gets used. It gets handed to grieving people as a fast-forward button, as if the point is that God will show up later once the crying stops. But David isn't writing from later. He's writing from the middle of it, still shaking from the gate at Gath. And he says, this is where God is close, not despite the brokenness inside it. And David didn't get relief the next morning. After Gath, he still had nowhere to go but a cave. The nearness this psalm describes didn't come with an immediate rescue attached to it. It came first, while the danger and the grief were still current events, not settled history. Notice the verse doesn't stop at nearness. It says he is near and saves those who have a crushed spirit. Both halves matter, and they're not in tension. The presence comes first, while everything is still broken. The saving is real too, but it isn't a condition for the nearness. You don't have to already be rescued for him to be close. You only have to be where you actually are. Now, the other misuse, the one grieving people hear most often. It's all part of God's plan. Everything happens for a reason. Whatever comfort those lines are reaching for, they didn't come from this text. Nothing in Psalm 34 or in this word from Jesus tells a grieving person to explain their loss away or to stop feeling it. Neither one skips the grief to get to the point. So is the line that shows up at nearly every visitation. At least they're not suffering anymore. It might be true. It's also often used to end a conversation the grieving person hasn't finished having. Comfort that rushes past the loss isn't the comfort either of these texts describes. Look at where Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. He's standing at a grave. His friend Lazarus has been dead 4 days. Just before this declaration, John records that Jesus himself wept, knowing better than anyone standing sitting there, exactly what he was about to do. He didn't need to cry to fix the situation. He cried anyway. So the resurrection promise doesn't arrive as a replacement for grief. It arrives alongside it. Jesus doesn't ask Martha to stop crying before he speaks. He asks her one question in the middle of her sorrow, not after it. Do you believe this? Not. Are you strong enough not to feel this? Not. Can you explain why this happened? Just in the middle of what you're carrying right now. Do you believe this is true? Put the two texts side by side and something becomes clear. Nearness doesn't wait for the tears to stop. Resurrection hope doesn't require you to skip the weeping to get there. Which means the actual question isn't whether your grief disqualifies you from comfort. It's whether you've been waiting for the ache to end before you'd let yourself believe either one is true. Grief is not a waiting room outside of God's presence. It's not proof He stepped back to give you space. Psalm 34 says the opposite of what most people assume. He is nearest exactly where the break is. And John 11 shows the same thing from a different angle. The one person who had the power to end all grief permanently still stopped to weep first. You were never asked to have this figured out before you're allowed to be comforted. Both texts hold the same shape. Presence that doesn't wait for you to be ready. A question asked in the middle of sorrow, not after it's resolved. That's not a formula for making the grief go away. It's an invitation to stop believing you have to fix yourself before you're allowed to be found. So sit with this rather than rushing to answer it. Where in your grief have you been waiting for the ache to end before you'd let yourself believe He's already close? You don't have to answer that out loud, but don't rush past it either. Leave a comment, not the theological answer, the real one. Who do you wish you could call right now, just to tell them something ordinary? Every week, one word for where you are, exactly as written. 66 books. Whatever you're carrying tonight, we're here. The Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands. Acts 7:48. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Romans 10:13. We are the called. Stay awake. Stay with us.